Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution. I'm Dave Russell. Well, don't forget, tune in tomorrow as the Ohio Field Leader Roadshow heads to Northeast Ohio and the farm of Matt Spillman in Stark County. The Ohio Field Leader is a project of the Ohio Soybean Council and Soybean Checkoff. On Friday, midday show, Dale talks with all things biodiesel with Jordan Davidson, Fleet Superintendent for the Franklin County Engineers Office. Then on Monday, join us for an update with Talc USA, a Brandt company who designs products to enhance crop performance for both corn and soybeans. Well, while the South prepares for Hurricane Milton, the devastation from Hurricane Helene is still being calculated.
Hurricane Helene was the deadliest storm in America since 2017, with over 225 lives lost and many others still missing. Danny Munch, an economist with the American Farm Bureau Federation, says agriculture is an important part of the Southeast and has a long road to recovery.
When we overlay the counties that were impacted and had massive power losses with the ag census data, we see that about $14.8 billion, almost $15 billion in crop and livestock production is generated in the counties affected by Hurricane Helene. Georgia led that pack with almost $6 billion in production value, followed by Florida at $3.06 billion. If we look at some of the commodities that were most in the path of Hurricane Helene, poultry was the hardest hit.
The impact of Helene is going to linger for a long time.
There's a lot of infrastructure damage. I mean, when we think about the cattle industry, which is almost $1 billion in those counties, the dairy industry is almost $500 million in milk. Those facilities lost power. They lost infrastructure. Miles and miles of pasture fencing has been lost, and cattle have been sporadically spread over lots of different pieces of land. They're dumping milk that no longer can be sold because there's no refrigeration.
For more information on the impact of Hurricane Helene, go to the Farm Bureau's Market Intel page at fb.org. Chad Smith, Washington.
A White House event on Tuesday provided an opportunity for Ag Secretary Vilsack to announce a series of steps aimed at improving competition and fairness within the ag sector.
One of the areas under study by the Agriculture Department in recent years to improve competition and fairness in various ag markets.
We've begun that process of amending and strengthening our Packers and Hog Card Act, for example.
Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack last week in Wisconsin. Tuesday at the White House, the Secretary announced an advance notice of proposed rulemaking seeking comments on new approaches regarding base price development for what is known as alternative marketing agreements within the Packers and Stockyards Act. The announcement was one of several on USDA competitiveness efforts, including increased transparency and researcher access to seed germplasm for breeding and crop diversity, as well as an interim report on proposed improvements in competitive conditions in the meat retail industry. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
National Corn Growers Association President Kenneth Hartman Jr. told Biden administration officials that farmers are living through difficult economic times. However, he also said Congress and the administration can help by removing barriers so growers can access expanding markets for U.S. corn. Hartman's comments came during an event called Farmers and Ranchers in Action, hosted by the White House. And Tractor Supply Company surprised 5 high school FFA chapters across the country with funds needed for students to attend the 97th Annual National FFA Convention and Expo. The markets are next.
Did you know soybeans' #1 customer is animal agriculture? That includes Ohio's pig farms. Soybeans provide a blend of protein and energy to keep Ohio pig farms growing. Nationally, Ohio ranks 7th in pork production, and those pigs consume 6.3 million metric tons of soybean meal. It takes a lot of soybeans to make that kind of bacon. Soybeans feeding the industry that feeds us. Brought to you by the Ohio soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Soybeans grown in Ohio and across the heartland are meeting the feedstock demand for clean fuels. Biodiesel is a clean-burning and reliable fuel that enhances engine life, power, and mileage. Plus, this high-performance fuel works in any diesel engine without modification. With biodiesel, we fuel the economy, do good for the environment, and support soybean farmers. Learn how using biodiesel can add value to every bushel of soybeans grown at soyohio.org.
The market's brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. At the Board of Trade, December corn $4.21 up a quarter cent. March corn $4.38 down a quarter cent. November soybeans $10.20 and a quarter up 4. January beans $10.37 up 2.5. July wheat up 3 at $6.41.5. At the Mercantile Exchange, October cattle $188.20 down 27 cents. October hogs $83.92 down 20 cents. November feeder cattle $248.67 down $1.62. This is the Ohio AgNet.